Welcome to my channel, Corey's Cave. I do all kinds of different experiments, especially with microgreens on this channel, so if it's something you're interested in, hit subscribe if you like this content. Give me a thumbs up if you like it as well. Today we're going to be checking out a grow light from Unit Farm LED. This is the UFL3000. It draws 200 watts. It's way too powerful, I think, for your average microgreen grow. And I'm going to check it out. So we've got ourselves a box with a box inside. Now this is a new line of grow lights from this company that I thought I would try out. They asked me to review this, so I'm going to check it out. I specifically asked for the UFL3000 because of its shape. A lot of these grow lights of this style are square, and where I grow microgreens on a rack, it's 3 foot by 2 foot. Those square lights just don't really work out unless I was going to double them up. And I don't really want to do that, so I get this one. Comes with some instructions. This particular light has 736 LEDs. They all talk about what they replace for an HPS, high pressure sodium, or an HID, or metal halide. This claims to be equivalent to a 500 watt. I don't usually put a lot of value into that. To me, it's about how well do they grow things. That's what my test always is, and that's what it's going to be with this light as well. So this is a nice looking light. You can see it's got their brand name right on it. This reminds me a lot of the Spider Farmer LED light, with the big difference that the power supply is not mounted to it. Now this is a selling point for them, is that it stays a lot cooler because the power supply is not on it, and that's where a lot of the heat is generated from. I haven't found a problem with the Spider Farmer one. That one works actually really awesome, but it does generate a little bit of heat. Comes with some pretty nice quality ratchet strap yo-yos to hang it up. Those always come in handy. Comes with a very large power supply. I did not expect the power supply to be this big. This is a pretty good size one. It's made by GVE. Never heard of that company before. It outputs 36 volts at 5.8 amps. So that's the maximum that it can output. So my goal for this light is I'm going to hang it in one of my grow racks, and I'm going to grow microgreens directly underneath it. See what happens with microgreens when they get probably way too much light, but I'll be curious to see how they do. I'm expecting a lot shorter stems, but probably with a lot more color depth in those stems because they won't be able to stretch out. As the stems of a microgreen kind of stretch, the colors kind of dilute. And so we'll see what's going to happen. I'm also just going to be curious to see how everything grows underneath a really high powered light. That's going to be fairly close to them. It'll be about maybe 12 inches away. None of this is by the recommendations of the manufacturer of this grow light. This is not what they want you to do with it. The other thing I'm going to be doing with this, which is not to their recommendations, and in fact they actually told me through email that I couldn't do it, but I disagree, is I am going to underdrive this. This draws 200 watts, as I said. I want to get this down to drawing about half that. And so I'll be experimenting with some different power supplies and some different electronics to drive this down to using only 100 watts, because I think that's going to be pretty close to ideal. And then I'll be able to grow 3 trays underneath this without using too much power. And I expect, because it's going to be such a nice even span, that I'm going to get beautiful growth underneath it. So that's going to be the goal for this. Typically, people are running tubes for their different LED grow lights. You know, they come in a strip, or they come in like a T5 equivalent or a T8 equivalent, and those work great, but the light, things perform better directly like underneath the light, where you don't get quite the evenness that I would really like to see. It's not a problem. I usually use like 2 individual Active Grow LED lights, is like one of my favorite brands, and 2 of those on a 24-inch wide work pretty well, but it's still not perfect. Like, it could be better. I'm really curious if spreading that light out nice and even with a panel like this is going to be even better. Just getting this power supply all set up, because right now I'm really curious what this thing looks like when it's on. I'm expecting it to be incredibly bright. Get a little green LED light on the power supply to let you know it's got power. And I'm going to kind of look away a little bit when I plug this in, because I don't want to stare directly at the LEDs, because they can be quite bright. And it is. That is very bright. Wow. That's like the sun just dropped in here. Oh, that's pretty awesome. So another thing I could do with this light is I could have it up quite high and light up a whole huge table area of, like, say 9 microgreen trays or more, 10 by 20 trays. And I think, judging by how bright this thing is, it would do that just fine. Like, it is lighting up almost this entire room right now. So I'm very impressed with the light output, but I still would be curious what's gonna happen if I grow microgreens under it about this high off. And then also, what would happen if I cut the light output or wattage in half and try that, like I said. So that's what we're gonna be trying. But it is bright. You do not want to be looking directly at it. Curious to see what that's going to be like on the camera, because I can't even really look at it because it's bright. I think I might just got a little bit of a suntan there. So that's going to do it for just the unboxing and checking out and turning this on. As you can see, there are multiple color LEDs on this. It's supposed to be a full spectrum. That little bit of time I had it on, it didn't even get warm. The metal's actually still kind of chilly. And soon we'll be checking out what this thing does for actual growth.